It's a little bit like changing from USB micro to USB-C. A lot of the things that you encounter making that change apply to this change in Bluetooth too.
Hey everybody, Dave Lindbergh in Hong Kong with a new episode of THD Podcast for 2026. Thanks for checking us out. Today we have a company from Chicago called Wiser Devices. They're a Bluetooth design house, and we've been keen to find out what's up with LE Audio and Auracast. So we've got a gentleman coming on that's going to tell us all about that. But first, let's give a shout out to our sponsor, the Alti Association. We encourage everybody to check them out. They're going to be at Axpona, the high-end show in Munich coming up this year. So check out their website and see about meeting up with them and networking for the audio manufacturing community. And also the Audio Express magazine. Encourage people to subscribe to that great publication. But without delay, let's say hello. We have Colin Ward in the Philippines today. Good morning,
Hello
Colin.
there. Good morning, Dave.
All right. And Jackson staying up late in the States for us. Thanks, Jackson.
No problem. Thanks for having me and thanks for the introduction. I'll share my screen.
All right.
All right. Hello everyone. And yeah, thanks Dave and Colin for having me. Um, so my name's Jackson Keating, based in Chicago. The company is Wiser Devices, and this presentation is going to be about the new version of Bluetooth audio, Auracast, LE Audio, goes by a couple different names. Um, a little background about myself. I've been in embedded systems engineering for 15 years and been doing Bluetooth for a large majority of that. In probably about 10 years ago, I started working for a company in San Francisco, had a very complicated Bluetooth project, got thrown into the deep end and just kind of stuck with it. Um, my background is mostly in firmware development. About 2 years ago, went full time as a contractor and decided to go in this direction of working with companies that make Bluetooth audio products and really enjoying my time doing that. Um, this is a little bit about me some more. Uh, I am a lifelong music listener and headphone person. I had one of these glued to my hip as a middle schooler and high schooler. Wouldn't leave home without it and my binder of CDs. So it's been awesome to get involved in Bluetooth audio and keep it going. About my company and my work, my goal is always for the projects to succeed. I really like to try and dig in and not give up when things get tough.
Mhm.
Um, and that's just kind of a core value that I like to start with. My like I said, my background's in firmware. I do firmware development for Qualcomm audio chips. I also work with the company IoT 747. They make a really wonderful and amazing Bluetooth audio module. It's based on a Qualcomm chip and
Okay.
has the benefits of easily being placed into a product. And then on the test fixture side, I tend to focus on full automation. So good for production lines and kind of delivery of products. And
Is
and those
there
are two companies.
is
Yes.
there like so you see people what are the test fixture companies over here, Colin? We see Durant and we see
Yeah.
I forget the other name, but would somebody developing a product with these test fixtures, would that be transferable to like some of the major Asian based test systems?
Um, the test fixtures I work with are it's kind of a little bit of a new. It's kind of platform based. So Blue Clover is a test fixture platform.
Hmm.
Um, so it's a new way of doing things entirely. I think in general it improves the relationship between CMs and OEMs. Uh, a lot of the purpose of that company, Blue Clover, is to tie things to the cloud, basically making it easy to deploy,
Okay.
let's say new firmware builds to the line, deploy new testing environments to the line. Also, and then also allows for reporting, getting test reports
Mhm.
automated, getting uh,
Yeah.
it's not uncommon, right? A lot of companies
So
have
it's
these
not common.
built
I
in
mean,
house. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of the factories here, mine included, we do it internally, and we have
Yep.
exactly that, our own internal cloud-based system, just like you've described. So,
Yep.
but okay.
Yep. Yeah. So
Okay.
it's its own platform. So yeah, it doesn't tend to plug into other people's, but it can, you know, what do you call it? Support, right? It can fill the gaps for other people too.
Okay.
But yeah, besides that, I just kind of help out with jumping in on tough problems when people need me. But we're here to talk about Auracast,
Yeah.
or as I like to call it, the new version of Bluetooth audio. When I'm talking to my friends and people who are not so audio or technical, um, I'm always like, you know, there's an old version of Bluetooth,
Hmm.
uh, and we're done with that. We're on to a new one, right? It just so happens to be called Auracast, but it's kind of like the next thing. My favorite analogy that I like to bring to people, my friends, it's a little bit like changing from USB micro to USB C. A lot of the things that you encounter making that change apply to this change in Bluetooth too.
Okay.
When you think about having to buy adapters or having to buy new hardware, you're going to have to make sacrifices. They don't work together. The old
Hmm.
one and the new one are not compatible. So a new, if you want Auracast on your headphones, you have to buy a new pair. You can't use your old one.
Okay.
And likewise, if you want Auracast on your phone, you have to buy a new phone. Um, so a couple of the terms, this we'll go over the terminology. Bluetooth Classic, it's kind of my terminology for the old version of Bluetooth audio that we have known and loved for 20 years. Um, and uh, Auracast is kind of what I'll be sticking to for the new version of Bluetooth audio.
Okay.
Some other names, LE audio is a little bit more technical in nature. Broadcast kind of comes up sometimes.
So,
The other important, let's go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say, so what we've heard is like there is a higher throughput version that does higher resolution audio for a like a point to point, and then there's another
Mhm.
version that does like one to many, like in terms of like a television at an airport, you might be able to listen to that or kind of tune in almost like an FM. So under the Auracast heading, you could have the both of those features, and that's covered by the
Almost the
protocol.
opposite. It's
Okay.
almost, like yeah, you're right. There's like a little bit of a rec, a square is a rectangle, but a rectangle is not a square kind of thing going
Mhm.
on here.
Okay.
LE audio is the broad encompassing thing. That's the
Okay.
tree.
Uh-huh.
Auracast is kind of a small section of that. And I
Okay.
think and I have a slide about that here in a second. The But yeah, great question. And that's kind of why I like the term LE audio. I kind of use it, but
Okay.
for consistency, I'm going to try and stick with Auracast for this
Yeah.
presentation.
All right.
LC3, similar. A codec is a very important part of the Bluetooth experience. That is the compression of the signal,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
similar to how in MP3 you take a big file and make it smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the old codec for sound quality was the SBC, but there have been PhDs and mathematicians working for years on improving audio codecs, and so we have a new one now. Now that we have the new to go along with the new Bluetooth audio, and it's called LC3, and you'll see later it's a dramatic improvement on the codec. We're already starting to see some traction here. Here's a Creative Labs speaker with Auracast in it. Here's a
Okay.
JBL speaker with Auracast support.
Hmm.
Um,
So,
so
what's the sorry, Jackson? So, what's
yeah,
the kind of attach on phones now? How much of the phone market supports this already?
I don't have any statistics about that. I would say my own finger in the air is like not very many.
Yeah, what I thought.
Uh, and yeah, so there's some headwinds, and uh, I think that's a big part of where I focused this presentation is I want to acknowledge those headwinds and the skepticism and the cautiousness from the perspective of product developers. But I also want to reassure and hopefully through some interesting facts here that you'll learn and through learning more about the technology,
Right,
people will come away feeling a lot more confident about future adoption.
right.
Um,
From what I see, most products, if you're going to do this, you also have to support classic. So,
yeah, yeah, it's a big, it's an interesting time, and it's a confusing time for product developers.
Hmm.
And again, this is all about education. I hope to make product developers and people listening to this podcast um, feel confident about the decisions that they're making, feel informed, and hopefully be inspired to go go for it
Hmm.
and start leading and innovating in the products that they're making. Um, I think I think one part of just feeling good about the change is to just acknowledge like kind of why we went down this road in the begin and to begin with. One
okay.
is I kind of alluded to this. 2003 is when Bluetooth Classic came out. So that's 23 years ago. So it's
Wow.
just a different time. A different wireless audio didn't exist. You know, everyone had wired headphones.
Right.
Um,
I remember.
and yeah, and we loved them. And we were, but I really, I was kind of a slow adopter on Bluetooth audio, but it just went really well. But it's old, right? I mean, it's behind the times a little bit, so it needs an update. To there's better algorithms, there's better RF technology, and then also there's pain points with Bluetooth Classic that need to be addressed. This is from Qualcomm State of Sound 2025.
Hmm.
Just the top four complaints from users: connectivity issues, like pairing issues. We've all had those. Poor sound quality, maybe related to headphones, but also the codec is kind of like not perfect. And then syncing, right? Another kind of problem with the codec and the experience right now is latency. It has a high latency. It makes it hard in some cases to play video games while you have a wireless headset or to watch TV using wireless audio.
Yep.
And then, oh, go
I
ahead.
just like to point out that chart indicates that China and the UK complain the most. That's
I was
Collins
gonna
there.
say, U.S. is pretty chill here
Yeah.
in this
Wow.
graph.
Well, that's because we're the most discerning consumers in the world, as you should
Uh-huh.
know.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, I think people, yeah, I'm like looking at the U.S. I'm like, we
Yeah.
must not care. I don't know.
Oh, maybe it's the return policies too at Best Buy and Costco.
Yeah.
All right, I
Um,
digress.
no, no, it's great. I would add to the list battery life and in range.
Right.
Um, I think I don't know if consumers have a lot of complaints about battery life, but for Bluetooth headsets, I
Not
think
anymore. Uh,
not anymore. They got big batteries, right?
well,
But
good.
but from an engineering perspective, I think just knowing about the RF technology for Bluetooth Classic, it could be there. There's opportunity there. It could be even better, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh, uh, so anyway, so 2010, that's when Bluetooth Low Energy came out. Everyone got together and started thinking about how we could do this on audio. Hearing aid companies were heavily involved, and consumer companies as well. This is from like a documentary of the making of Bluetooth audio, low energy audio. Um, you can see Bose, Google, Qualcomm, all represented here. GN Resound and Starkey from the hearing aid community. Um, they got together. It took them 8 years. They started this in 2013 and it launched in like 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was the biggest update to Bluetooth ever. It was gigantic, enormous, tremendous, and it has all of these specifications. All these blocks is a PDF document with a gigantic amount of wording and specifications.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like we talked about earlier. If you think of all the blocks as LE audio, this little corner down here, that's Auracast.
Okay.
It's the broadcast audio profile. So I like to show this because it's kind of shows that there's a lot of room for there's more you can do with this stuff. And then just a brief call out 5.2. That's the
Mm-hmm.
version where all this stuff came in.
Okay.
Kind of where are we at right now? Colin, you were talking about this earlier. It's a little bit not everywhere right now. They launched in 2021, and this article is from a month ago from Sound Guys, which is a
Mm-hmm.
really prominent rating website. It's the biggest update we've seen in years, but people still don't know about it.
Yeah.
Here's The Verge, uh, again, a month ago. The tech world is sleeping on the most exciting Bluetooth feature in years.
Yeah,
And
I think it's largely like there's a project sales manager at Geely Bluetooth in Shenzhen, and he said it's not the receive side that's the problem. It's like Colin
Yeah,
indicated
exactly.
earlier. It's
Stores.
the TX side that's holding it up.
Right.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think kind of going along with that goes along with the next slide. iOS is missing from the picture right now, um,
Right.
uh, which is kind of a bell. It's the leader, right? And so without them stepping forward, it's. However, I think there's a lot to be optimistic about their entrance into the space, and
Mm-hmm.
I think they might be holding everyone back. But when they kind of come into introducing it into their next phone or the next phone, it's going to be very helpful and it'll move things along. And I don't have any doubt that it's going to happen, right?
Right.
They are at the meetings, they're like a part of the groups, and uh, yeah, and all that. So, getting to the more optimistic part, uh, Sound Guys, again, this is a review from them.
Mm-hmm.
Here they've kind of dinged the Sony, Auracast didn't work for us at the lab. Um, so these are starting to make its way into reviews. I think that's a
Mm-hmm.
good sign. People are watching for it. People are testing it. Um, and in a similar vein, the difference between the Clip 5 and the Clip 4 in the headline, like above the fold positive down here, they have
Mm-hmm.
Auracast listed, you know?
Yeah.
Um, uh, and in the enterprise commercial world, Crestron, just a gigantic leader in the space,
Yeah.
integrated it into one of their controllers as well. Um, and then just to throw a little bit more on there, the FCC is now requiring it. So the FCC has always required mobile handsets to be compatible with hearing aids. Last year, they updated the requirement to um, basically specify Bluetooth.
Okay.
Um, so there's just to address kind of some baseline skepticism from people, right? Like when is it going? People, I think there's a lot of reasons to be kind of positive. And as far as the hold up, I think you mentioned, I guess the TX side is probably a big part of it. I think everyone's kind of waiting to see someone else do it. There's a little bit of that. It's new technology. There's been some stumbling blocks, and just general audio consumer skepticism, I think, is a big part of it too. Um, so hopefully, to kind of alleviate that and give everyone some perspective, I'm going to spend the next few slides kind of underscoring that LE audio is better. It's better, and it's an improvement on Bluetooth Classic audio in every way. And it addresses all of the consumer's most dire concerns about the way things are done right now. And so why is it better? Starting off with sound quality, the highest rated kind of complaint. LC3, this is a stereo listening test. LC3 is in blue, SBC is in gray. At the very left-hand side, that is indicating the lowest quality, the highest compression, so like the worst setting. The right-hand side is kind of indicating the best settings. And you can see that LC3, the worst setting on LC3 performs better than the best setting on SBC.
Right.
So just a great, I don't know, achievement in that realm. A note to just people listening about quality in LC3. LC3 has a gradient of qualities, actually like lots of variety. It's like a table. There's probably 40 different settings. So it's highly customizable, but just because you pick one of those settings doesn't mean that the person you're connecting to is going to support them. So Bluetooth SIG has called out two settings in particular, standard quality and high quality, in an attempt to standardize LC3 settings. So if you're developing a product, one, you have to support standard quality. That's not negotiable. High quality is negotiable, but be sure to look out for the indication that you're picking the standard high quality, I guess you would call it. So that when you find another high quality device in the wild, your consumer can enjoy it, right? The range, 10x increase in range.
Really? Wow.
So I don't know, people walking around the office building, walking around your house. I don't know. You want to leave your phone at your desk, or you're in a public space using broadcast. It's a huge improvement in the user experience in that regard. Part of it's the protocol. The RF signal is it's a different kind of RF signal. It's less prone to interference. It's just less taxing to implement than Bluetooth Classic.
In what way is it different? I mean, it's still a 2 point whatever carrier, right? Why is it different?
Yeah. So my understanding, you're the RF engineer, so maybe you can.
Maybe.
So my understanding is that Bluetooth Classic uses something called quad phase shift keying.
Yeah.
Which is kind of insanity level RF engineering.
Yeah.
It's extremely optimized for speed. And designing radios for phase shift keying is complicated and tough, and its distance becomes an issue.
Yeah.
The new version, starting with LE in 2010, is FSK, frequency shift keying. That's like FM radio. That's just been around for a long time, and yeah. So I think there's a little bit of that. I also think transmitters can run on 120 volts. Like think about a TV, the signal can just be that much more juiced. Before the settings, we're used to Bluetooth Classic coming from a phone. A phone is kind of artificially limiting Bluetooth Classic's power to conserve battery all the time.
Yeah, but there's a regulatory power that you can go to, right? So
That's kind of what, yeah, that's, I
I
think,
mean,
yeah,
there
it's
is,
a
and
little bit of
I
receiving sensitivity. It's a little bit of, yeah,
I don't think that's changed between still the same FCC rules apply, whether
yeah,
you're testing 5.3 or whatever. So anyway,
yeah.
okay, I get it. The range is better. It's good.
Range is
Mhm.
better. Good. Latency better. Good.
Yeah.
10x on latency too.
So that's end-to-end latency, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I mean, yes, it's clearly much better, but 40 milliseconds is still nowhere near good enough for video reference, for example.
Um,
Your lip sync, yeah.
So the minute, for example, I believe the minimum for Dolby is 20 milliseconds, maximum rather.
yeah.
Maximum, yeah.
So I would say, yeah. Okay,
And
so
I mean, for live performance, you're using this as an audio link in live performance. It's got to be,
Five.
it's got to be sub 5 milliseconds.
I would say, um, I am not an expert in this latency stuff.
Right.
The thing I've read, right? 40 milliseconds is kind of out of the box latency. So
Well,
I think
for Bluetooth, yes, but I mean for which is why in gaming systems, as Dave will confirm, the audio link for the game is typically a bespoke point-to-point 2.4.
100%. Yeah, same
Or
with Shure, right?
yeah.
Like I don't think Bluetooth is not like this has no chance of being implemented in a live stage microphone, you know.
Mhm.
Right.
I think this is going to be great for watching like football on a TV or listening to um, uh, watching a movie. I think gaming maybe kind of might be a stretch, but we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see how crazy people get with it. You know, like I said, 40 milliseconds is kind of like the easy mode for this stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, the way this and then like some details about how it all works. Basically, it just sends out the packets at regular intervals.
Right.
So the packets are, let's say packets are sent at 20 milliseconds, and there's a pre-programmed presentation delay of 20 milliseconds
Yeah.
for for uncompressing the sound, and that's how the system works basically. The LC3 codec is mono. It's a mono codec. So if you want to send left and right channels, you send a left packet and a right packet, kind of in the same chunk. So you'll
Yeah.
see this notion of a bis and a big. Uh, the bis at the top, there's bis 0 and bis 1. You could think of that as the 0 might be left and the 1 might be right. The 0 might be English, the 1 might be Spanish.
Yeah.
And so if you want to do 5.1, the answer, you can see there's a gap there. So
Yeah.
you just throw that stuff in there. And if you
Right.
want to just decrease your latency, you can just kind of creep that line a little bit forward, tune the timing to go faster. Um,
Uh,
uh,
is it, as I understand it, also there is some missing packet correction in there. So it's a handshaking, right, between TX and RX. So if it's losing packets, you
for
repeat
for
the packet.
broadcast, the way they dealt with that is you can see how this zero there's three zeros.
Oh, they send it 3 times.
Redundancy. Okay.
You get three chances.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Yeah, that was
but I
the
mean,
mystery.
you can change, and you can change that too. You can change it to 2. You can change it to 4.
Well, I guess if you change it to 1, you improve your latency, but you might miss packet.
Yeah, but that might be okay depending on your use case. It's really flexible, and it's nice to think about things this way. You've got levers to pull doing product development
Okay.
to serve your use case, to serve your customers the way you want to.
Right.
Um, I like connectivity issues. There's no connections, so but there are weird things like there is a connected mode, right? There's instead of Auracast, they call it unicast.
Mhm.
So there is pairing supported. You can put a password on an
Right.
Auracast signal.
Right.
Um,
Is there,
so
sorry, is there a back channel capability? So, I mean, if I'm in I don't know, a teaching environment and I'm sending out to
Oh,
numerous students,
or like
is
a
there
headset,
a back channel talkback facility?
for someone to send you a packet.
like a
So if
Bluetooth
I'm if I'm
headset
you
with a
know
mic.
if I'm the yeah, so they can I'm sending out what I'm saying, but I can get questions back. Just wondering, if there's a back
Oh,
channel
um,
apart from putting
I
in
would
a
say
separate.
anything is possible, you know.
Right.
But I don't think that's a designed use case. No, yeah, I
Okay.
think it's very much like a speaker speaking. But um, but yeah, I could imagine a system, right? Like if they had an Rcast thing and you subscribe to theirs,
Yeah.
pass a microphone around, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Interesting.
and then low energy,
Yeah.
just it's in the name. We're taking that power hungry phase shift keying or RF pattern, and we're getting rid of it and using a low energy solution that's going to improve things dramatically. And then just we can talk a little bit about. So hopefully after all that, you kind of feel good about the technology, you can
Mhm.
understand it, how it can improve your customers' user experience with your products. Um, Now, how do you implement it? What kind of stuff do you look for? We talked a little bit about quality, matching qualities. One, we'll revisit that 5.2 number. Um, you want to make sure, though, that typically when things have a 5.2 or a 6.0 on them, they are backwards compatible. So that's good.
Mhm.
But it doesn't mean what that means is that the radio supports Auracast. It doesn't necessarily mean that when you plug that thing into your system, into like if I took like a Bluetooth 5.2 radio and put it on my MacBook, I would not have Auracast.
Mhm.
So you kind of have to look for that number, but you have to look a couple levels deeper too. This gets me when I'm trying to buy speakers to test with. Like I bought a Marshall speaker recently to test with,
Mhm.
and I
Yeah.
just couldn't tell from the documents, you know? It's like, does it have Auracast or not? It has 5.3, but they don't really say it. I bought
Right.
it and they don't have it, but it's okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Um, and then the other huge thing, Colin, you talked about is backwards compatibility. Uh, it's the adoption cycle will be long and drawn out for the next 10 years. Uh, so there's a lot of chip makers out there that are not backwards compatible, and a lot of them kind of do advertising in the Auracast space, Nordic being one of them.
Mhm.
Um, because some solutions don't need to be backwards compatible. If you're like, I'm thinking of like a museum, like tour group kind of thing.
Yeah,
It's a
where you
closed system.
you control both ends of the link. So,
Yeah, yeah. But just to make sure if your users want to not upgrade their phone to buy your product, those things might be important to you. You want to seek backwards compatibility. All the
Mhm.
usual suspects in the audio market support backwards compatibility. So they're all dual mode. Um, I think people in this universe don't have a lot to worry about. I think, but startups are usually startups and young companies kind of can make some missteps when they get started on that journey.
I
Um,
always thought it was Blue Tron, but that was just like living in China. The enunciation was a little different, I guess. So it's Blue Trum. Okay. Probably why I couldn't Google it.
yeah, this is a TSR market research.
Okay.
Uh, they do kind of like a yeah, they publish market research every year on Bluetooth chips,
Yeah.
and it's great. It's awesome stuff. And then just kind of we'll end on underscoring it's better if anything, if you're skeptical, if your customers are skeptical, like you can lean back on the fact that it is like a dramatic improvement, and it will make pain points go away. And so there's a lot of good reasons to start looking into this. It addresses all of these pain latency, battery life, connectivity range. Um, and here's another thing from that market research, just showing the predictions are strong for the technology still. And so everyone has a chance to kind of at this point still get in early, kind of, and be ahead of the game in their market, and also innovate. It's such a broad standard. I think it's built for hearing aids, but people are going to do really cool and interesting things with it.
Yeah, and I think for development, isn't one thing I heard is that there's not a specific audio layer. A data packet is a data packet, so you're not having these layers built on the original like Bluetooth protocol. There's no specific audio layer, so you're just handling data over the link on a faster radio. So
Yeah, yeah, I would say that. Yeah,
if somebody gets good at data for, I don't know, some other kind of protocol sending some other information, doesn't matter what the information is, and so developers can kind of cover more areas of products with the same expertise.
yeah, yeah. I think that's like a good example. The module vendor, IoT 747, they have a feature where they can send data over the audio link. And so the great use case there is like controlling LEDs. Everyone has synced audio in this. I went through this whole presentation and even talk about like party mode, but I was trying to be laser focused on just encouraging people and getting people to know about the pain points. But party mode, that is an innovative, cool thing that people are kind of subverting the spec to accommodate. And yeah, now you can broadcast LED changes. You can broadcast who knows what.
Right. Okay. So how do people get a hold of you if they need some help with their next project?
Yeah. Oh man, where's that slide? I'll type it out. Jackson at wiserdevices.com and www.wiserdevices.com.
Cool. All right. Colin, any questions?
I was just going to ask you, how do you think the codec compares to aptX, for example?
Oh,
Being a Qualcomm guy,
yeah. I mean, I will say, weirdly, I'm not kind of an audiophile. So
that's okay.
I don't judge them. Like, I don't really have a favorite, To me, it's all about what other people want, I have kind of wondered that. I think aptX will survive though, because there is plugins for third-party codecs.
Okay.
I think, and probably the advantage in this case is the LC3 spec can really kind of only come out once, maybe, or maybe it can come out multiple times, but the aptX spec will probably be able to move maybe a little bit quicker, right? They'll be able to improve things and iterate, and whereas LC3 might have a harder time doing something like that. So even if they're matched now, I don't know if that's going to continue on.
Okay. All right then. So yeah, hopefully that was informative for everybody. We're all keen to see more TX side products come out so that people can get some endpoints going. But let's not flog that horse. But yeah. So Jackson, thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate it. Encourage everybody to reach out to Jackson if you need some help with your LE Audio Auracast project. And thanks to Colin for joining us as well. So please like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.